As we approach a new year, a lot of people start to think about starting a business. I'm sure 2024 will be no different. In fact, I asked you guys, and 38% of you said you were thinking about starting a business in 2024. I think there are two main areas that you need to look at before you make the decision to go ahead and start a business. The first of these is all about you, and I split it into two different sections. First, we need to look at the time you're going to have to dedicate to this business. How much time can you dedicate to your potential business in 2024 and beyond? Is it going to be a bit of a side hustle where you can spend 3 to 10 hours a week? Or is this going to be a full-time thing where you're going to want to dedicate 40 to 50 hours a week? That is going to dramatically determine what type of business you pursue and whether you should actually pursue a business. There are certain businesses that can be pursued as side hustles, and there are certain ones that you really need to dedicate full time to. And that can be even different within the same industry. Let's look at retail, for example. If we want to go and open up a shop front, we want to run from a shop, we're going to likely need to dedicate this as a full-time business. Now, the reason for this is the expectation from your customers is that you're going to be open. They're likely going to expect from Monday to probably Saturday that you're open from 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe through to 5 o'clock at night. If you're not open at these times, they might start to go, well, when is this place actually open? It's not to say that it can't be done, but if you're an industry where it's expected that you're open for certain hours, then you're going to need to dedicate those hours, or you're potentially going to need to employ people to run the business during those hours. Retail, however, could be done online and done as a side hustle. Maybe you're selling on eBay and you package the items at night, you have time on your lunch break to post off the orders, and your customers, you're still able to get back to them when it suits them. So all of a sudden, you could still do the same industry, but tweak it a bit to suit the hours you have available. I think that's the thing, is making sure that your business is going to match the hours you can actually dedicate to it. And the second thing that's within your control that is going to determine whether you should start a business or not is what are your actual financial goals to get out of the business. We want to know how much money do we want to draw out personally each week, each fortnight, each month, so we can decide, is a business actually going to be able to achieve those goals? Because you don't want to be working 40 hours a week and then go and do another 30 hours a week on a side hustle and still not meeting your financial goals because the business was never going to be able to do that. So what I like to look for in this example is to work out what is your desired income after tax that you want to take home each pay period. So we want to look at a weekly example, for instance, and we want to take home $100 per week after tax. Now, to calculate this, we need to know what our tax rate is. So we can look at the tax tables here and we can look at what our estimated taxable income before we have the business. So maybe in this situation, we're earning $60,000. Well, our tax rate is going to be 34.5 cents, being the 32.5 cents plus the 2% Medicare levy. So now we want to work out how much profit would the business need to make per week to allow us to still have $100 left over. Now we can do this via the following calculation. So to work out, we need to go 1 minus our tax rate. So we're going to do 1 take 0.345, which is going to be 0.655. And we're going to take our desired take home pay of 100, divide that by the 0.655, and it's going to come out at $152.67. So we would need our business to make $152.67 so that we can have $100 a week take home pay after tax. Now, obviously, if your taxable income dramatically changes, your tax rate could change, so that is something to keep in mind. But it's good to do these calculations before you commit to starting your business. Now, something else that you should do before you start your business is consider taking my course, How to Start a Business in Australia. I've packed this course with 22 different lessons, an hour and a half of content, and 4 bonus templates that will help you with your finances. And the aim of this course is to give you all the tools you need to go from idea creation all the way through to actually launching your business and giving it the best chance of success. If you're interested, you can head to the link in the description of this video. Now, let's move on to the external factors that could impact you starting a business next year in 2024. Again, we'll split these into two sections. The first is the general environment for 2024. Obviously, people are doing it tough, which could make starting a business tough. Maybe you're going to be in a business which is going to rely on people using their disposable income to pay for your products or services. If people have less disposable income, obviously that's going to make it harder for you to get sales. But in general, I still think 2024 could be a good time to start a business because of how easy it is to start a business and how you can get started with little risk. And that's because the startup costs to starting a business are so low these days. You can start a lot of different businesses with very minimal initial investment. And if it's your first time in business, that's great because you want to keep initial investment really low because it's going to keep your break-even point low. And when you're learning, you don't want to be investing thousands upon thousands of dollars if you're not sure whether you can stick at it, whether business is really right for you. Now, the downside to this though is because it still is easy to start a business, there is lots of people starting businesses. So because of the ease of entry, it means that there's a lot of competitors. So that is something you need to consider. How competitive is your particular industry? And that leads really well into the second external factor, and that is looking at individual industries for 2024. An industry is either going to be growing or it's going to be dying. And what I mean by that is you want to go down the path of an industry that's growing, because if the industry, even if it's staying still, it means it's really dying because we have high inflation. So if our inflation is 7% and your industry is only staying still, then you're actually going to be going backwards. You need to be achieving at least 7% growth just to start with inflation. So you want to aim for an industry that is growing, not dying. Let's use the example of the news agency, for instance. If you're running a news agency and people are buying less newspapers, your industry is going backwards. Therefore, it's going to be really hard for you to achieve in that industry. You want to look at what industries are already starting to grow or you think are going to grow, and that's the ideal industry to target. Now, you do need to be aware though, if an industry is known as a growth industry, it means that the competition is likely going to be high because lots of people are going to be going into it. But if the customer base is growing quicker than the amount of new entrants into the market, this could be a sweet spot for you to enter into. Let's compare two different industries there. We could look at, say, a news agency. So a news agency is likely going to fall more into the dying category. We've got a primary product of newspapers, which people are buying less and less of. So even if you're running a perfect business, if your customer base is shrinking, it's going to be hard for you to grow that business. Maybe instead you're going to short form video editing. This area is growing quickly as people are expanding onto TikTok, onto Instagram Reels, onto YouTube Shorts. All of a sudden the demand is getting higher and higher. So the customer base is growing and growing and growing. So if you're in that industry, even if you're running a mediocre business, there's more and more customers coming in. So just by natural progression of the industry, it's likely going to be easier for you to pick up more work. Now, your industry is obviously going to come down to what your skill set is. But it is something important to understand is what is the industry going to do in the next 12-month period and beyond. If you do decide to go down the path of starting a business, there is a high chance you could end up being a sole trader. If you do go down that path, this upcoming video I've got is all about how sole traders can actually pay themselves, actually take that money out of their business, a bit like what we talked about earlier in this video. I hope to see you over there.